Kia's Niro Hybrid gets a sharper look and sharper technology in this second generation form. As before, the car remains a mix between a family hatch and a crossover, but this time round is a little larger and quite a lot more sophisticated. Expect this self-charging model to continue to figure amongst Kia's top sellers.
Despite the sassier looks, this Niro Hybrid is still very much the sensible steer it's always been, which will probably suit the market just right. Very little of this second generation model's engineering's changed. There's still basically the same SmartStream 1.6 litre GDI petrol engine Kia's been using for a decade, mated to the same 6-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, driving the front wheels with the assistance of an electric motor. That's pretty much the same too, developing 43 brake horsepower as before, but unfortunately the tiny battery that powers it isn't, reduced in size from 1.32 kilowatt hours down from 1.56 kilowatt hours before, which means it's even less likely to ever power the car on its own. That's not the point with a self-charging hybrid model like this, of course. The little battery's there to reduce the load on the engine, not to substitute for it, in the way that the much larger 11.1 kilowatt hour battery on the alternative Niro plug-in hybrid can. But that pricier 180 bhp model isn't our focus here. Niro Hybrid customers must be content with a more modest 139 bhp output that delivers 62 miles an hour in 10.8 seconds en route to 102 miles an hour. There's not much pulling power, especially with the default Eco Drive mode engaged, which means overtakes must be planned well in advance. And you certainly won't want to be throwing this car about through the turns, where you'll notice a bit of body roll and the anaesthetised steering. But it's great in town, with decent ride quality and refinement that's also a boon on the highway. Kia's served up plenty of new drive tech too, plus there's class-leading efficiency as well, 64.2 mpg on the combined cycle and 100 grams per kilometre of CO2, which you can get close to replicating by proactive use of selectable brake regeneration settings. Confident. That's the word which springs to mind the first time you set eyes on this second generation Niro. This Kia's grown a little this time round, 4,420mm long and standing 1,570 high, which makes it 65mm longer and 10mm taller than before. But it still can't quite make up its mind whether it wants to be a crossover, suggested by the roof rails, these wide lower side rubbing strips and the wheel arch cladding, or a family hatch, which is probably what you think this car was if those features were removed. Big wheels also fit the fashion remit. You get these smart 18-inch alloys, providing you avoid the base model with its weedier 16-inch rims. The final touch is probably the most eye-catching, the option of this colour-contrasted so-called joy for reason C-pillar design, which you only get with this top 4-spec trim level, and which comes in either steel grey or, as here, in black pearl. Kia insists this feature isn't just there for fashion, it stands proud of the bodywork, supposedly improving aerodynamic efficiency. The front showcases Kia's current Opposites United design ethos, complete with angular heartbeat daytime running lights and a signature tiger face grille, which is now more decorative than functional. Even the rear makes a statement, with boomerang-shaped LED lights smeared up the corner pillars and a prominent roof spoiler topping off the tailgate, emphasising this second-generation model's 20mm increase in width. Right, time to take your place at the wheel. Absolutely nothing's been carried over from before, and there's a considerably higher feeling of quality, particularly in this highest spec version, which decorates the angular dash with these twinkling twin 10.25-inch screens. Design touches borrowed from other recent Kias include this circular gear controller and this central touch-sensitive strip, which hosts either the climate controls or the infotainment system hotkeys, depending on which of its two display settings you've chosen. All the right eco boxes are ticked too, thanks to a cabin headliner made from recycled wallpaper, and faux leather upholstery fashioned from a bio-PU material containing healing eucalyptus oil. As with the previous generation Niro, the seating position is a fraction higher than the norm, and across the range the seats are well upholstered and supportive for longer journeys. There's also plenty of cabin storage space. Right, let's take a look in the back. Here's where the real benefits of that switch to this Mark II model's more sophisticated K3 platform are revealed. It feels almost EV-like in the back, with more legroom than you'd get in any other class rival. Headroom's good too, even with this sunroof fitted. And the central transmission tunnel's not too prominent, so if you had to fit 3 adults in the back here for a short trip, it'd probably be easier than would be the case with most cars in this class. Finally, let's take a look in the boot. Now, battery placement makes quite a difference to carriage capacity across the Niro range. Because it's under the rear seat in this hybrid model and doesn't encroach into the cargo area, there's a very class competitive 451 litre capacity figure. The rear bench doesn't offer a ski hatch or a 40-20-40 split, so long items can't be poked through between a couple of rear-seated passengers, but at least when the 60-40 split backrest folds, it falls down nearly flat, freeing up 1,445 litres of space. The idea here was clearly to lower this car's age demographic without alienating its core market, and the changes made here should achieve that. Is it worth going beyond this self-charging hybrid to the 2 plug-in Niro models? Well, that's a difficult call, which will of course be influenced by all kinds of things, chief amongst them your bank balance, your priority on performance, and your prevailing view on the current environmental zeitgeist. In summary, as we've been saying throughout this test, behind the funkier looks of this second-generation Niro Hybrid, much is as before, which is probably as you'd expect, given that it's Kia's second bestseller. And there was little point in trying to change a winning formula. Car enthusiasts can move right along. There's nothing to see here. But if your reason for wanting a model of this sort is grounded in sense and sensibility, then you'll probably like this one very much.